Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
I haven't verified this, but it is good, so I'm going to use it. During a recent press conference, a reporter with MSNBC hollered from the press corps, "Where is President Trump hiding his tax returns?" Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders astutely responded, "We've found a very secure place, and I'm certain they won't be found." "And just where is that?" said the reporter. Mrs. Sanders grinned sardonically and said, "They are underneath Obama's college records, his passport application, his immigration status as a student, his funding sources to pay for college, his college records, and his selective service registration." Next question? I love it. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America on a Tuesday, September 26th. Morning. Oh, good morning, Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations with a great big, huge fall tire sale going on right now. And don't forget, too, some of our great advertisers like Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Call them at 734-6969. Let's go to the phone line right now and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Well, good morning, sir.
You the man?
Yeah, I figured I'd do the pledge this morning.
All right, go ahead.
All righty. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And thank you, my dear friend. And right now, let's go to the weather forecast brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 West, Hayburn. Number to call. Call them right now. Hey, you might be needing some special tools or equipment for your projects, and they can deliver to the building site, and then when you're done, come pick them up. And they've got everything from forklifts to garden tools. I'm telling you, Roger and the crew, they're ready to serve you at K&R Rental. Number to call, 678-3122. I'll repeat that, 678-3122. K&R Rental. Right now, here's the weather.
Going to be an absolutely beautiful fall week. This is Scotty Cameron sitting in for Gina Jameson for your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. Yes, the sun's going to come out today, expecting a high of 64, mostly clear tonight with a low of 38. Sun again tomorrow, highs reaching maybe around 70 for tomorrow night, clear and a low of 40. Now for Thursday, sunshine and 72, mostly clear for Thursday night, a low of 43. Sunny and 74 for Friday, maybe a chance of some showers coming in on Saturday. That's your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. I'm Scotty Cameron.
Hey, thank you, Scotty, filling in for us this morning, and always doing a great job. Appreciate him. K&R Rental, they've got everything. They've been in business since 1979, and I urge you to get over there. They open the doors early in the morning at 7 a.m. to serve you. And like I've said, forklifts, power tools, garden tools, whatever you need, painting equipment, it's all there at K&R Rental. 256 South, 600 West of Hayburn, 678-3122. Don't forget, Thursday is sale day. Where am I talking about? The Burley Livestock Sale Yard in Burley with sale time probably around 11 a.m. you can call them on the number 678-9411 for cattle consignments and sale information. The sale that works for you with Merv May, Cade Rogge, and Lance Udy. Burley Livestock Sale Yard, 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley. Sale Thursday at 11 o'clock. Don't you miss it. Really good people. This morning, I'm going to go ahead with more of what's going on in the NFL. I have collected from various sources and newspapers some of the absolute ridiculous quotes by the very liberal news media, and also some excellent quotes by other sources, and I'm going to read some of these to you in just a little bit, so stay tuned. Don't forget Daryl's Cleaners, and boy, for those of you that are getting ready to go hunting, you rolled that sleeping bag up last hunting trip, threw it in the closet, and all of a sudden you thought, well, we're getting ready to go hunting. All the Cheetos and the salsa and everything in that sleeping bag, better get it cleaned at Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. And Kevin also wants you to know that he can waterproof tents and he can waterproof clothing. I don't know if he can stick you in a vat and waterproof you, but by golly, they do it all for you at Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. You stop in and see my friends at Daryl's Cleaners today. Really, really good people. First thing I want to mention this morning is this, and I get a little teary-eyed when I think about how great the people are in my audience. You folks have always answered the call when I have asked you for something to help support a project. And you've done it again. I absolutely thank you for the boots that we have asked for to help our friends in Texas and horse tack. I am leaving right after the program, and I am going to pick up a lot of the boots and the tack that has been delivered since I picked up the last bunch. And I thank you. I mean that. We don't think we're quitting, because we're not. We still have a great need of boots, good quality boots that you just can't get on anymore or don't like to wear, or maybe the old feetsies like mine have changed a little bit and they're bigger here and they're a little thin here. But anyhow, we've got some wonderful, beautiful boots. Thank you very much. Horse tack, got a lot of that. I thank you. Please drop it off at the Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Lane and Rupert, the Twist family in Paul, and Randy on Overland and Burley are prime sites, and I thank them for getting involved and helping us. Thank you very much. Now, I'm going to be at those locations after lunch. And if you have anything this morning that you could run in there, I'd appreciate it, because we're getting everything ready and packed up to go to Texas within the next 2 weeks. And we're going to be on the phone tomorrow morning with Hayden Mickelson, and he's going to tell us when they're going to be going down. Want to urge everybody, caller, I'll be right with you. Don't forget our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric. Oh, I like these people. They've been in business for over 60 years. 60 years, serving you with all your heating and electrical needs and cooling needs. Well, I'll tell you what, the old furnace, we're looking at days now that are going to get a lot cooler. And that means when you jump out of bed, whoa, that floor is cold. Well, you want to make sure everything's warm and toasty. Make sure your furnace is running properly. Get the air furnace filters at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, 678-0459, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Also, real quick, our thanks go out to Denny's Restaurant. Oh, the food is tremendous. I love their pancake selection over there. I had some the other day at Lunch Bunch. And don't forget, online ordering at Denny's. Anytime, anywhere, anything. Just go to Denny's.com, hit the demand button, place your order. 20 minutes later, drive up and start enjoying great food from Denny's Restaurant. 2 locations, 611 North Overland in Burley and 291 Pole Line in Twin Falls. Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Thank you.
Good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
You know, it's been said on the radio that 87% of the players in the NFL are black. How in the heck do you think they get there? They've turned their back on the flag of the United States of America. When in the Civil War, the war was fought so they would be free. And so what is the problem with these people saluting the flag or putting their hands over their heart to represent the fact that they still love America?
I'll tell you what it is, Keith. It's selfishness. That's what it is. It's me, me, me. It's I. It's the selfish nature of these folks, and I'm going to tell you why. And over at the main studio, Wheels ride that gain. These people were given scholarships. These people have been given all kinds of opportunity, and this is what we get in return for them to take a knee during the national anthem. I am not going to weaken on this. I find it despicable, and I'm going to keep condemning them.
Yeah, and Jerry Jones, the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, I never have really cared for the self-righteous person, but now I detest him because he stood there right with those players that showed solidarity that he did not represent the flag either. So the heck with him.
Well, there's a couple of ways to look at it, and believe me, I'm not taking their side. Don't you dare think for a minute I am, because I'm not. But to take a knee in solidarity with their arms linked before the national anthem and then standing for the national anthem, it's a little bit of a gray area. I still don't like it. I don't like the linking of arms. I think that's disrespectful to our flag. I think it's disrespectful to our servicemen and women and our police forces. I just don't like the way they're handling this at all, and I am one that's going to come out and say the NFL stands for not for long, the way they're playing it.
Okay, let me make one comment. When we have lunch, you usually come in about 11:30, and I am just finishing my meal, and we have to have the blessing and the pledge and everything else. That's, you might say, inconvenient, but it is necessary, and I cherish every moment of it.
You know something, Keith? I'm glad you brought that up, because I have taken, not lately, but about a year and a half ago, I took some criticism from another source that was not connected to our lunch bunch, and they criticized me for having a prayer, the national anthem sung, and then the Pledge of Allegiance. And I told this person when they criticized me that I really appreciated their showing their true colors, because I'm going to continue doing it at the lunch bunch. It's going to be the protocol for the first three things we do, and I will not change. That's the bottom line.
Well, the last note on this is that these NFL players that are black, especially, will think back to why they're able there to be able to perform and live in this free country.
I agree. I'm just really bitter, and I think the divisiveness and the hatred and the racial aspects have been blown sky high thanks to the idiocy and the lack of respect by a certain few individuals. Keith, I got to run. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Go Trump.
All right, thank you. Hey, by the way, don't forget Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. The number to call so they can help you get back to being you and feeling good, 678-1191. You know, whether it's an accident, you fell, you got a sprain, a strain, recovering from surgery, whatever. Boy, when I was recovering from surgery, they just absolutely helped me in that hydrotherapy pool. Woo, walked 1,000,000 miles in that pool, and it helped. Don't forget to give them a call. Make an appointment today with the best of physical therapists at 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation in Burley. I absolutely mean it when I say they are number one. Want to also mention to you our dear friends over at Pomerell Place. You know, listen to me, seniors, and I mean this. You know, we all think that we're really capable of doing this, that, and the other thing. Oh, I can do it on my own. I can do it by myself. Well, there are some seniors that really, the isolation of being alone and the different safety hazards and the possible injuries and the not really taking care of yourself with good meals, poor nutrition, missed medication, don't take those chances. Call Pomerell Place today, a place for senior living at 1301 Bennett Street in Burley. I'll give you the number, write it down, 677-8212, 677-8212, Pomerell Place, for senior living in Burley. You know, I am going to read you some of the, I just find these so repulsive. Here is the headline on the main sports page for the USA Today yesterday. And this story was written by Nancy Armour. I have attacked Nancy Armour in the past for being not a good sports reporter, but basically injecting the liberal attitude into everything that she writes about. Do I like her? No. Do I not like her because she is a woman? No. I like her because I think she is incompetent. I hope I didn't say I like her. I don't like her because I think she's incompetent. There, I got it right. She had a headline yesterday that I really took issue to because everything in this country is being aimed at or thrown up against the wall against our president and our administration with a complete lack of respect. Here's the headline. The NFL finds unity in its rebuke of Trump. Subheadline. A seismic shift for players, coaches, owners on a powerful day. And then listen to the second paragraph of her story. The NFL had one of its finest moments before the games even began Sunday, coming together from every corner. Players, coaches, owners, and league office in forceful rebuke of the latest torrent of hate from President Trump. Whether black, white, or brown, on bended knee or with locked arms, the NFL's rare show of unity was both a dignified condemnation of the wrongs we still must right and a reminder that for all of our differences, America remains our common ground. You know, she went on in this article and absolutely just tried to get a shovel and bury Donald Trump. The fault is not with Donald Trump at all. The fault is with prima donna, overpaid, underworked athletes that all of a sudden emerged from college with ability to play football in a country that will grant them multi-million-dollar contracts and worship them as idols. Their IQ probably is much lower than the average American, and I'm saying this, and listen why. Many of them have no degrees from their schools. Many of them basically preempted the system, if you will, to gain scholarships and be only there for representing that college or university on the football field or the basketball court. Prove me wrong. And I am sick and tired of these so-called prima donna athletes, as I said earlier, destroying the respect in this country for our flag, our values, our soldiers, and the people that serve like our policemen and firemen. Colin Kaepernick started this. And now others, like little mice going to the cliff, are following. And I find it despicable. I will come out and say this morning, somebody said to me yesterday, well, what do you think about Trump saying this, that, and the other? I agree with Donald Trump. I don't agree with maybe the language that was used as far as the comment, and I'm not going to say the full wording on my program, but I'll condense it down to the usage of SOBs. I didn't agree with that part of it, but I think that the harshness and the sternness of the remark that he made absolutely had to be said. And I do not in any way, shape, or form condone the NFL and these players, and I'm now not a fan. I listened to a former colonel in the Army, Jeffrey Powers, this morning, an avowed great New York Giant fan that basically said, I wash my hands of being a supporter of pro football because of the actions and the attitudes of these that want to denigrate our country and disrespect our flag. And I'm one of them. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox. Oh, with the Lennox home comfort systems, I'll guarantee you better check it out. And you may qualify for up to a $1,600 rebate. All you have to do is call Ramsey Heating and Electric and find out more at 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, serving you. Give me a call, please. It's not just a one-man show here. I'd appreciate your calls, and we'd like to hear what your viewpoint is. Don't forget, to our friends at Gano Landscaping and Sprinkler Service. Scott Gano. Whole crew is out there, and they're trimming trees, and they're pruning trees, and they're putting in new sprinkler systems, or they're fixing the old ones. Now's the time, before all that angel dandruff starts falling on the ground. You better give them a call, 438-2485, or 431-8733. Over in Paul, Gano Landscaping and Sprinkler Service, serving you. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Let's just be honest, which in today's age of political correctness, we can't say this, we can't say that, we might offend somebody's feelings. James Brown from CBS NFL program, the NFL Today, I will never watch that program again because of James Brown. He called Trump's, and they never say President Trump. Did you always notice the disrespect in all of the stories? It's never President Trump. It was always President Obama. But it's always Trump this, Trump that. But James Brown said Trump's comments, dismissive, vulgar, and divisive. And Brown said they were insensitive and colonizing and reflected a lack of understanding. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. His remarks were spot on. The ownership in the NFL, private ownership, should look at their employees and say, don't embarrass me. Don't embarrass our country. Don't embarrass our soldiers. You stand for the national anthem. You want to have an argument later on your own time? Fine. After practice, do what you want. But don't embarrass me in front of millions and millions of people every Sunday. But they haven't got the guts. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Come on, give me a call. This issue, I am really afraid, when I say this, is going to expand, if not nipped in the bud right now, it's going to expand into our colleges. It's going to expand into our high schools, and already last week I had a story that it's already in the early elementary grades. Little 8-year-olds. They don't have an idea of what "come here from Sikkim" means. And they took a knee during the national anthem. Oh, look at me, Daddy. I kneeled during the national anthem. I showed disrespect. And the parents advocated it, and the coach also supported it. Caller, I'll be right there. Bear with me. I also want to say hello to Dino's. What is Dino's? Well, I'll tell you what. It's the very best in septic service. Septic tanks pumped and septic tanks and drain fields installed, backhoe service. These people can take care of a smelly job. That's right. Sewer and sink drain lines cleaned. They've got a truck called Smells Cargo. Don't forget, for fast, fare-friendly service, give them a call. Over in Rupert, 436-6526, or in Burley, 678-1638. Smells Cargo on the way to serve you. You call Dino's Septic Service today. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Well, good morning, Sunshine. How are you?
Now, there's a voice that I recognize. What do you want?
Well, I've got a traffic report. We've got quite a few things going on, and I sent you an email, but I tried to get a hold of Deanne to inform her to give you this email, but I'm just going to kind of butt in and tell you what's going on.
Well, I appreciate that, but Deanne always during my show is out in the other office, in the other room, and she's not near her computer, so I apologize for that.
Oh, no, not a problem. So here's the traffic report. We've got 20 semis that are in the westbound lanes on I-84 traveling eastbound near milepost 194. Apparently, they missed the construction lane change, and they're stuck on the wrong side of the interstate.
Oh, boy.
So if anybody's traveling that direction towards Twin, take Highway 30 or Highway 25 or just go the frontage roads.
Don't do that. Please don't send them by my house anymore.
Yeah, I know. Well, and then there's another one at milepost 205 on I-84 westbound. There's a car that's in a field. EMS crews are now on scene. And there's also a rollover accident on North Overland in Burley near Mr. Gas, Mr. Wash that has the road blocked, so find an alternate route. And also anyone traveling eastbound on Falls, the road is closed east of Eastland on Falls due to a bad accident. So we've got some really bad accidents going on this morning, so everybody just drive carefully.
And yesterday there was a bad accident right up at the junction north of Hanson onto the highway headed towards the Hanson Bridge with two semis. What's going on out there? It seems like it's coming in bunches.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking especially with, these semis, it was a 20 semi convoy, and I don't think that they'd ever traveled this stretch. And if you don't know the construction zones, then you're going to get awfully confused.
Though, in fairness to the truckers and anybody else going on the highway, I will say this, and you might not agree, that's fine, it's a free country, but I don't think it's as well marked and well policed and well looked at by the road crews as it should be, because here about 3-4 weeks ago, I almost got shuttled off into a construction area because it was very poorly marked, and I was pulling a load of horses, and things got a little ticky-tacky, let me tell you.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It's not well marked at all, and if you're traveling through this area, either at sunrise or when it's dark, you're following the cones, but that can be really confusing, and no, I agree with you. It's not well marked, but people just please be careful out there because we've got a lot of accidents.
No, Gina, I always appreciate you taking the time away from your bagel and cream cheese at this hour to come in here.
Oh, you hush. Okay, so if I have any more updates, then I'll kind of butt in and I'll let you know.
Would you? I appreciate it.
Not a problem.
Thank you, Gina. Appreciate it. In other words, folks, be careful out there, please. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. In a moment, I'm going to read you some quotes that I found, and some of them are pro the players taking a knee, but the bulk of them are absolutely against this divisive attitude that the players have shown. So I'll get to that in just a minute. Don't forget our friends at Berry Equipment and Rental. Sales, service, and parts, 3 locations, South Lincoln and Jerome, and, of course, Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and 159 West Highway 30 over in Burley with the old football man over there, and that's one good old boy right there. And they've got all the Bobcats. They've got negative interest on all Bobcats. What? That means the interest on a machine is subtracted from the price. Hey, you better get in there, check it out today, and you'll have a Bobcat from Berry Equipment and Rental. Equipment rentals, equipment sales at Berry Equipment and Rental in Jerome, Twin Falls, and Burley at 159 West Highway 30. They have the equipment to get the job done right. Absolutely. And let's see what else have I... Oh, real quick again, I want to remind you, Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox serving you. You be sure and stop over and check it out, or better yet, just give them a call at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 678-0459, and you might qualify for up to a $1,600 rebate on a new Lennox home comfort system. Check it out. Feel good all winter by calling Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, 678-0459. All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244. Here's some of the comments that were made, and this is one that I boo. This is a boo. This is by New Orleans Saints coach Sean Payton. And listen to the very derogatory comment aimed at President Trump. He said, quote, "I think we need a little bit more wisdom in that office." And that's being a little blunt. but that's how I feel. I want that guy to be one of the smarter guys in the room. And it seems like every time he opens his mouth, it's something that is dividing our country. Sean Payton, I wished I had a chance to look you in the eye and say this. It wasn't President Trump that divided the country on this issue. It was many, many of your players taking a knee in disrespect to our national anthem. But then here were some good comments. Tennessee State Senator Paul Bailey said, I'm a season ticket holder of the Tennessee Titans. If their players start this, I'm going to forego that word, I'm done. And then, not related to football, but hockey. Listen to this one. The Pittsburgh Penguins respect the institution of the office of the president and the long tradition of championship teams visiting the White House. We attended White House ceremonies after previous championships and have accepted an invitation to attend again this year. NHL champions, the Penguins. And you know, I really appreciate that one. Why? Because there are others, like Stephen Curry of the Warriors and others, that wouldn't go, oh, no, I'm not going to support Donald Trump. No, I'm not going to go to the office. Total disrespect. And then the last one that I want to read to you, and I like this one the best. It is from NASCAR team owner Richard Childress. And he was asked to give a quote to USA Today Sports. When he was asked what he would do if one of his employees protested during the national anthem, here is what Richard Childress said. I will get you a ride on a Greyhound bus when the national anthem is over. I love it. In other words, dude, you are out of town, you no longer work for me, and you no longer work for NASCAR. God bless NASCAR. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call, please. I want to ask another question this morning, and I want you to, come on, get stirred up a little bit. Oh, by the way, too, don't forget on Thursday, we're going to have, tomorrow we're going to do it because I'm going to be gone on Thursday. We're going to give away the Denny's Grand Slam breakfast, and we're going to ask a trivia contest. And so you be listening. Tomorrow we're going to do that. You be listening for Denny's Grand Slam football breakfast trivia contest, okay? You be listening. In just a moment, I'm going to be talking about Hillary Clinton. And my question to you, the audience, is this. How and why does a loser get so much airtime every single day on the news as Hillary is? Past presidential hopefuls have faded away and gone out to pasture, but not Hillary. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. Want to remind you there are great job opportunities in the Scott Jackson Trucking family in Jerome. Absolutely. Just a phone call away. And believe me, very competitive wages, benefit programs, and you'll enjoy the professional and family type atmosphere while making a good living. All you have to do is call their number, 324-3004. 324-3004, the Scott Jackson Trucking family over in Jerome. Fully licensed and insured to haul over the Northwest and Canada. The best right there, Scott Jackson Trucking in Jerome, asking you if you want to join their family and become a new employee. Call them, 324-3004. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, sir.
Hey.
I had a customer come in yesterday, and he made a comment that I thought was rather interesting. He stated, in any other country, these athletes would be working for the government and be told what to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, what more can you say? And, we made a comment yesterday on the program. I think it was when you and I were talking, as a matter of fact. Let's use one of the villains of today for our subject matter, Kim Jong-un. He has killed members of his own family because they didn't agree with the way he was trying to run North Korea right down the barrel of a gun. And he shot and murdered and poisoned some members of his own family. If you were to take a knee while their anthem or he was in attendance, I can guarantee you that you would never see the next day's sunrise.
Exactly. You probably wouldn't see the sunset.
That's right.
So these athletes need to realize what they're in. But also, too, I've heard some discussion about, it's free speech, freedom of speech.
No.
Okay. Why can't they honor the 5 dead policemen that got shot in Dallas that one year when the Dallas Cowboys wanted to put a little deal on their helmets to honor them?
Yeah.
And the NFL said no.
The NFL, as far as I'm concerned, Doug, honestly, the way they are right now, the ratings are way down on television, and with these asinine, stupid athletes using this as a pedestal for their own ways and means of saying, oh, I was raised in the South, or I was raised in the ghetto in New Jersey, or whatever. Oh, woe is me. No, woe is me. You know, they've been given the opportunities to go to some of the best and select schools and universities and use a game to propel themselves into being millionaires and sign multi-million-dollar contracts. I am sick and tired of this. If they want to do something that's going to aid mankind, then take some of their money and their time and go assist their communities.
Exactly. Use their free speech on their own time. And that's what I'm saying is, you know, they're limited on what they can do in the end zone. They're limited on what they can do on the field. They can't take their helmet off on the field to play. They're so limited on what they can do and what they wear. The NFL tells them this is appropriate and this isn't.
Yep. Well, are you beeping or what's going on over there?
I got a customer just come in.
Okay.
So
All right. See you later, buddy.
Bye.
I tell you what, I have no sympathy. I will not change my mind. I think that the athletes are absolutely gifted with a gift that they can play a game, a children's game, and make multi-millions of dollars. And if they keep their nose clean, they can go into other aspects of the sport after retirement, or the sport will afford them the opportunity to talk to many other businesses for future employment. I have no sympathy. And I certainly have my own disrespect for them for kneeling for our national anthem. Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hello again. You know, speaking of NASCAR, I used to race and, and have a good time doing it and everything, but NASCAR started out in the South, and they were known as rednecks, just a bunch of people that want to go out there and tear up their car. But NASCAR has come so far, and I'll tell you what, I've seen the camaraderie in racing that I've never seen in football or basketball or any other sport. Like if your engine goes out in your car and you can have a chance to get back in competition, you have one of your other teams pitch in and help you out. And I've seen this before.
Yeah.
And I admire NASCAR and their stand in this situation. And I support them 100%.
Isn't it funny, Keith? Keith, wait a minute. Isn't it funny that about a month and a half, 2 months ago, and again, Wheels watched that game on the feed, isn't it funny how the South in general was denigrated by all of American that had their nose bent out of shape over the Confederacy, statues of Robert E. Lee, Stonewall Jackson, and we got to take them down, we got to hide them, the people in the South are bad. But now, the people in the South, and focus through NASCAR, are standing up and they're saying, hey, we believe in the respect of the red, white, and blue, and anybody that takes a knee at one of our races is going to be fired. Man, I tell you what, I'm proud of them.
I am too, and their respect for our Father in heaven is unbelievable. I mean, the Southern people are really involved in religion, which I believe is what we need at this time, because we're a divided nation.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. And I'll tell you something, when you turn on a NASCAR race, I don't care if it's the Daytona 500 or where it is, they have highlighted on their television broadcasts that everything comes to a screeching halt, and they have the prayer on television. That's part of their contract. They said they would not take it off. And then they segue right to the national anthem. I say kudos to NASCAR.
You got it, brother.
All right, thanks, Keith. Appreciate it. Thank you.
God bless America.
I believe it. Yes, sir. Hey, don't forget, time for the weather. And I understand that Scotty filled in today and did a good job. Let's have our weather provided by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Hello, Dr. Christine Pickup. Oh, the knowledge. Oh, the ability and the skill that this lady knows all about hearing and, you know, the hearing screening test and then what to do. And your hearing problems might be related to a health problem or your medication. I urge you to call the number and make an appointment at 312-0957. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, right across from the Minidoka Hospital Emergency Room. Caller, I'll be with you in a second. Stand by. Here's Scotty with the weather.
Going to be an absolutely beautiful fall week. This is Scotty Cameron sitting in for Gina Jameson for your 7th the Reg weather forecast. Yes, the sun's going to come out today, expecting a high of 64, mostly clear tonight with a low of 38. Sun again tomorrow, highs reaching maybe around 70 for tomorrow night, clear and a low of 40. Now for Thursday, sunshine and 72, mostly clear for Thursday night, a low of 43. Sunny and 74 for Friday, maybe a chance of some showers coming in on Saturday. That's your 7th the Reg weather forecast. I'm Scotty Cameron.
Thank you, Scotty, and brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, the only locally owned and independent hearing healthcare practice in southern Idaho. Call them today, 312-0957, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Caller, thank you. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Jeb. Just wanted to vent for just a brief minute about the issues that I appreciate the issue with the NFL because it's making a lot of these other things that have kind of been slipping away come all to fruition. More specifically, I'd like to identify the issue around the sanctuary cities and also things like a group boycotted the Winter Sports Festival in Salt Lake because Salt Lake or Utah didn't support their agenda, so they left Salt Lake. The thing that concerns me is these mayors and these lawyers are now not upholding the Constitution, and they're actually going against the laws of the land and saying we're going to welcome illegals in and give them free right of passage on our dollar. So if that's the case, I would suggest to all your listeners really need to wake up and decide for themselves where are they going to spend their money. Again, the idea was are we going to spend money on the NFL and those types of things. But I think on the right side of the thing to do is to say I will support people who support me and support the beliefs that I have as a country. And then I think we'll start to see that the people that are doing all this boycotting, they're just people who want a free handout. They want socialism. They want communism. They don't have a job, or else what are they doing? They're taking time off the job to go do all this stuff. They're unemployed, and they're people that don't want to work, and they're Bernie Sanders people. So we need to start to wake up while we have the opportunity to do so and just participate in our communities.
You know, caller, I really respect your thoughts, and I will say this, that when you talk about sanctuary cities, and you talk about Governor Jerry Brown on the left coast, and you talk about Chicago's Mayor Rahm Emanuel, and you talk about the despicable Bill de Blasio, Mayor of New York, they are doing nothing, representing the Democratic Party, as for nothing more than buying votes by trying to create a sanctuary city situation that would incur repetitive votes for their party in the future. It's sickening, it's vile, and it's anti-American.
It's actually breaking the law.
That's right.
There's laws with regard to people who have come into the country illegally. And I have a lot of folks who work for me are great, honorable people. They're legal. And I think that's important to understand. These people want to give sanctuary to those who have arrived here illegally.
Absolutely.
And that's against the law.
Absolutely.
Support people that break the law.
You know, I really have missed having you call in for a long period of time, and I'd love to get you back over to my office on the program. God's blessings to you, my friend, and please call again.
Thank you.
All right, sir. I know that man. He's a good friend. I asked the question a few minutes ago, and I'm going to get back to this. Why? It's a very simple question. Why? So much of Hillary every day on the news, voicing her opinions and making what I would call her stupid assessments of the news and what is happening. My question is basically pretty simple. Who cares about her opinion? She lost the election. People don't like her. And now she said that President Trump has singled out blacks in the United States in his condemnation of the national anthem kneeling. Now, I've gone through every single newspaper that I get, and I get many, many of these, and looked at all the different things that come across on the internet that can be verified. And not at one time, none of his verbiage contained anything where he singled out blacks. Hillary Clinton is a liar. Let's be very honest about this. Hillary Clinton is a liar and is doing nothing more than throwing logs on the fire of absolute and total disrespect for this country, our flag, and its values. Never once did Trump ever mention anything about the blacks. He just said athletes kneeling for our flag. You know, she called him a racist, and she said that he is a supporter of white supremacy. That's pretty heavy stuff. And she's getting away with it, but my question goes back to the former as to why. Why are people in the news media giving this old woman any kind of credence whatsoever? Get to the rocking chair, Grandma. All she's doing is putting out strife and putting out hatred and divisiveness. And she said that President Trump is even worse than she thought he would be. She just keeps on going. The hate just keeps on being spewed from a person that is a loser, and a person the American public should be thanking God that she never got in the Oval Office. Bottom line. She is absolutely a has-been, but she was a never will. And I'm glad, you have no idea how glad I am that Hillary Clinton was not given the appointment through our votes to be the President of the United States. I want to say thank you to our great major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, with a big fall tire sale going on right now, because doing the right thing matters. And they do the right things. They have all the tires ready for you for the fall and the winter driving. All you need to do is take the initiative to just pull into one of the 7 locations here in the Magic Valley, and they can and they will serve you with all the tires you need. Stand by, caller. Don't forget, too, the best in brake service. Boy, when you hit the brakes, you want to stop. I'll guarantee you they've got highly trained technicians. Front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, very important this time of the year. Ooh, colder temperatures when you turn the key. Yeah, buddy, you're going to go. Make sure that you check it all out at the big fall tire sale going on at the 7 locations of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Caller, good morning. I've got a minute and a half. Go.
Well, I just want to comment how disgraceful it is for the Baltimore Ravens, the birthplace of the national anthem, to take a kneel at the football game over there in England and then stand up for God Save the Queen. That is the epitome of disgrace. And to honor you stand up for the Queen and disgrace the flag and our country.
Absolutely.
In front of all of the people in Great Britain and the world.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more with you, caller. I found their actions to be absolutely beyond reproach and beyond an apology. I look at these athletes as spoiled prima donnas that really probably have no clue as to what they're kneeling for or what the real cause is. And I appreciate your call. I got to run to the news, but thank you for your input.
Get along. It's just bad. We need to boycott all of this stuff going on.
I agree.
Thanks a lot. Have a great day.
Thank you, sir. You know, some of the other stories I didn't get a chance to talk about this morning, but I'm going to try to fit in. Muslim mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, came out and compared our President Trump to ISIS. Repulsive man, and repulsive thoughts and verbiage. That makes me sick. We're going to take a little break, and for the next 7 minutes, we're going to let CBS come in here and mess up everything we tried to put together, and then we're going to come back and talk about health care with Dr. Dennis Durrell, and then at 9:30, Dr. David Cole. I got a whole bunch of doctors on here this morning. Stay tuned, Zeb at the Ranch. I'll be back in 7. Oh, good morning to you. Zeb at the Ranch, I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, and they're having a big fall tire sale going on right now, and including some of our great advertisers like Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
Yes, sir, it's true. Always at your disposal. Call them today, 734-6969. We're in harvest right now, and the trucks and the tractors and everything's in the field. What? Wait a minute, somebody forgot to order the porta potties. Well, call them today. They can help you with the porta potties at the end of your field. Give them a call, 734-6969. Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Amen. Want to remind you, too, again, one more time, that Lennox Home Comfort Systems, along with Ramsey Heating and Electric, where you can feel good inside your home with indoor comfort. All you have to do is call them at 678-0459, and you may get up to a $1,600 rebate on a new Lennox Home Comfort System through Ramsey Heating and Electric at 678-0459. Wheels, just a minute. I was going to ask you a question. Is Gina there to give us an update on the road conditions?
She is, and then right after I have your guest already lined
Okay,
up.
well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one more commercial and then have Gina jump on. Please tell Dr. Durrell we'll be right with him as soon as we can. I want to remind everybody about our dear friends at Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. Joel Heward, the manager, his family, and his staff, serving you and your family with the most flexible hours to be there when you need them. Absolutely, they can help you with all the arrangements after a loved one has passed, and they do it always with the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. I urge you to write the number down and call 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert with our dear friend Joel Heward. Right now, there has been... I absolutely could not believe the rash of accidents and everything going on this morning. Gina Jameson over at our main studios. Gina, what's going on out there?
Well, apparently I think people, I have no idea. I have no excuse for the way people drive. But however, this is what I will say. The situation is getting a little bit better, and some of the accidents have been cleared. So here's the latest road report real quick. In Twin Falls, anyone traveling eastbound on Falls Avenue, the road is closed east of Eastland on Falls due to a bad accident. The update on the semis, there was 6 semis and 2 camp trailers are in the westbound lane on I-84 traveling eastbound near milepost 194. Apparently they missed the construction lane change. They're stuck on the wrong side of the interstate. However, traffic is flowing, but it is flowing slowly. So I would still highly advise take Highway 30 or Highway 25 or just take the frontage roads, get around that. On I-84 westbound at exit 201, Casota Road exit, a semi tipped over coming off of the interstate right there on the off-ramp. That off-ramp is currently blocked until they can get that semi righted up and cleaned up the mess. And then at milepost 205 on I-84 westbound, there was a car that's in a field EMS cruiser on the scene. Don't know if that one's been cleared yet. And the rollover accident that was on North Overland in Burley near Mr. Gas, Mr. Wash, that has been cleared and Overland is open up again.
Let me ask you something. Are you sure that you didn't mistakenly give a road report for Los Angeles instead of Southern Idaho?
You know, it kind of feels like it, doesn't it?
Holy cow!
Yeah. So some of this is due to harvest. Some of it's due to the road construction, and the rest I have no excuse for.
Some of it is because drivers aren't being attentive.
Yes.
Okay. Gina, do me a favor. I know I'm imposing on your time, but give me an update if need be, okay?
Not a problem.
All right, thank you. Right now, I apologize to this man for making him wait a couple extra minutes, but I absolutely think he'll understand. He is an Obamacare expert and a doctor, Dr. Dennis Durrell, physician and National Medical Director of Acute Services for IPC Healthcare, and the author, I'm going to get tired of reading all this, author of your healthcare playbook, Winning the Game of Modern Medicine. And with all that being said, Dr. Dennis Durrell, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Seth.
You know, I'm just going to ask you a very point-blank blunt. In your opinion, as a doctor that sees patients and sees the misery, and people with Obamacare are suffering with the extremely high costs, the Republicans have dropped the ball and they're not even suited up for the next game. That's my attitude. What's yours over what's happening with the Graham Cassidy health care bill?
I couldn't agree more. I don't think it's perfect. From my discussions, there was tweaking to the formula that even occurred, obviously, over the weekend and Monday. Secondly, there was always the option to put something in reconciliation for tax if it was a line here or there to tweak it. Was it perfect? No. But I cannot believe that some of the facets of this bill, which I think were good, eliminating the individual mandate, the employer mandate, expanding HSA accounts, being able to level the playing field on what states get paid for patients based on how sick they were and how poor they are in their state, giving states the flexibility to use grant blocks to innovate and improve care. I think all those things were very Republican and conservative in my mind, and I'm just not sure why they couldn't get this done.
You know, okay, you don't mind if I call you Dennis or I'll call you Doctor to be more official, but what is going on here? I mean, I don't care who it is in the Republican Party. I don't care if it's Ryan. I don't care if it's anybody else that's a senator or a congressman. They can't seem to show backbone and spine. That's my opinion.
I think that the bottom line is that when a senator is only looking out after their state, I think that's admirable, but they have to look at, in my opinion, the entire effect of this law. And I think that they're not doing that. And even some of the states that might have gotten some funding reduced, to me it was leveling the playing field. And secondly, it was reversing the course of health care that's moving in the wrong direction. And so I just think they should have passed this. I think there were some ways to tweak the formula here or there, and I think that it could have been worked with, and we would move in a different direction. And I don't understand how people weren't on board for this. I think that it's just popular now to oppose the Republican Party.
Doctor, let me ask you this, the bottom line, and I respect your position, I respect your knowledge, but I'm going to say this, and if you don't agree with me, you can tell me I'm wrong. I think this is a major push across the finish line for moving towards a single-payer insurance, which would devastate all Americans and our health care. Am I wrong?
No, you're right. I think that if you don't reverse the course here and move more towards private solutions, then you're just going to see more expansion of Medicaid, which I am not in favor of. You're going to see more whittling around the edges of Medicare, and so I couldn't agree more. I think this is an issue of single payer. Obviously, Bernie Sanders brought it up. A third of Democrats are for it. I think that if you continue the current plan, Obamacare matches up with single payer, and that's where we're headed. And I do not believe that's the solution for America. I couldn't agree anymore.
You know, Doctor, my biggest concern, and quite frankly, I'm prejudiced because I'm an older American, right? I guess I'm going to call myself a senior citizen. I am. But I see this move in this country towards a hemlock society to where the elderly really are going to get slapped in the face with a single-payer insurance to the point where there is going to be a panel of so-called experts. And I said earlier, and I wrote it in my blog about a week ago, that if you got a 17-year-old kid with acute athlete's foot going to the hospital for treatment, or a 69 or 75-year-old patient with maybe a heart condition, that 17-year-old with athlete foot, I think, is going to get the money before the elderly. Am I wrong?
Well, I would say this. I don't think we're down to that level, but if you look at, last night Senator Cassidy said it in the debate, that if you look at the case of Charlie over in the United Kingdom, the very unfortunate baby, the young baby that had that genetic issue, and the government basically said, no, we're not going to approve you to go to the U.S. for future care. Now, they were basing that on futility, but I do think that in some of the single-payer systems, there are people and panels that do decide things like that. Now, I don't think we're we're at that point with Medicare, but here's where we are with Medicare. People are paying into Medicare $70,000, and they're spending $270,000. That's not sustainable. So unless we do something to improve the models, to improve how we spend money in health care, we're not going to do anything, and we won't be able to help Medicare patients. So I think to some degree we're going to have limited resources, and there will be some decisions that have to be made. I'm not sure they'll be as stark as that.
Doctor, we have seen this approach to single-payer insurance in other countries and other means and methods, and people have been in waiting lines for surgery for 2-3 months. They've been waiting to see a doctor. People have died literally waiting to be taken care of on a single-payer, one-size-fits-all insurance. How dumb can America be to get rid of a system that would actually stimulate and help people to compete against each other, businesses to compete against each other, and the benefit of the consumer is always going to prevail? You go to single payer and it's done. It's dead forever.
Well, look at Canada. The Commonwealth Fund, a very respected international healthcare organization, rated the different countries, and Canada was 43% of the time they had delays in their care. And in terms of getting procedures done and being seen the same day, they did not score well on that at all. And so if we think that going to single payer is the answer, we've seen that around the world. That is not the answer. Competition, innovation are the ways that people will rise to the top, and we are doing well in these things. And we just need to give states the flexibility to do these models. We could argue about the amount of money, I understand, but I do think private innovation with a backstop with the government is the way to go.
Well, Doctor, you've studied this. I know you have had to study this. You've seen the pitfalls and, quite frankly, bluntly, the pratfalls of the Republicans, the Lindsey Grahams, the John McCains, and how they stand up in front of the news cameras for their sound bites. Well, I can't vote for this because this, that, and the other. Really? What is the big stumbling block for the Republicans to put this in effect and then, if it needs be, tweak it afterward? What in the world is the problem?
I think the problem is that, right now, John McCain is set on regular order. And until you go through the hearings, he's simply not going to vote for it. So we had a deadline. Some people needed to accept the imperfect for the good, and they just were not willing to do that. And once you lose one, you're going to lose another and another. Even though some states were doing better, they still voted against this. And I don't understand why, but I will say this, that if something is not done, if they do not do something to fix health care, then the Republicans will get crushed in 2018, and they will lose the House. And if they lose the House, that's going to be very important for the future of our country, as you know.
Would you explain to me what you said when your opening remark about John McCain was that he wants everything in regular order? What basically are you saying that he's demanding or not willing to vote for?
What he is saying is that he wants this bill, Graham Cassidy, Heller Johnson, to go through all the series of committees that it should go through. So Health Committee and the Finance Committee. He wants the opportunity for people to look at it, to bring in experts to go over it. They had one hearing yesterday, as you know, and that's it. So his point of contention is that if you go through that process, then I would be for this. He also believes that at the end of the day, unless it's bipartisan, it'll never be a solution. Now, I disagree with that. I'd like it to be bipartisan, but I disagree that you can stand back and not do something that should be done to help people just because you can't achieve bipartisanship. So those are the two things that McCain wanted. We just ran out of time. I think, though, keep in mind that they could bring this back next year. They could put it in part of the tax bill. They could actually pass a resolution and then put this in the 2019 budget resolution. So they still have some things that they could do, and they might be able to satisfy a John McCain in the meantime. So you may see more coming on this.
Okay, but wait a minute. I want you to be more definitive on the time. We are looking at the 2018 midterms, a year basically from now. Now, what in the world is the big full-court press for right now, the immediacy? Can't the Republicans say, okay, the Graham Cassidy bill's not going to pass. We are going to sit down. We're going to make a concentrated effort to get this done in the spring of the year, still within the realms of the first year of the Trump administration. I don't understand the great big need for throwing a bill out that nobody understands or wants to back. They still have, like you said, up until the 2018 midterm. So explain the time factor there.
Okay, so here are the issues. In order to use the reconciliation process and only need 50 votes plus Mike Pence, they have to get that done by September 30th. Mm-hmm. They're losing that window. So now they can use reconciliation once next year, and they want to use that for tax reform. So if they're going to put it in next year and use reconciliation, only get 50 votes, then they're going to have to do a tax bill and a health care bill together, which is going to be hard to do, but not impossible, to your point. And so they should consider doing that. And those are their two options. And if they did that, then they could do it maybe in February or, March of next year. Take the time to refine this bill, change this bill, and bring it back. But then you're going to be fighting getting tax done with it. There's one more thing they could do. They could actually pass a budget resolution and then use this for the budget resolution of 19, even though they're not doing it in 19. They could use it for that. In all those scenarios, they would only need 50 votes. Any other scenario, they need 60 votes, and we know that's going to be hard to get.
Doctor, don't you get the feeling when you listen to these sound clips and news bites on the 6 o'clock news that a lot of these people, whether it's Lindsey Graham or whether it's John McCain or whomever, they're basically using it just to play the simple word of politics? I'm sick of it. Do you agree with me or not?
I think there are definitely people that are playing politics with it. There's no doubt, because I know what this means to patients. I'll give you an example. I know that a lot of people on the left feel that they gave a lot of people Medicaid in the expansion, and they've done great things for them. I will tell you, because I have an op-ed coming out on this, that a lot of people in Medicaid are not able to go to our greatest academic centers in America, and I don't think that's fair. So a lot of people check the box. They think they've done a great job. They're playing politics. They want to have more government-based programs, and yet the quality is not there. And I think that's a classic example of people playing politics, and they don't know what it actually means for an individual patient who might go to a hospital and not get the kind of care that they need. And I think that's very unfortunate.
You know, Doctor, I'm going to say one more thing. And again, you're the professional in medicine. I am not. I'm a talk show host, but I read a lot about this issue. I'm going to make a statement. Tell me if it's right or wrong. I honestly believe that if we were forced as a government and a nation to go into a single-payer health insurance program, it would destroy doctors wanting to get into the profession because the government would dictate what they can make and can't make. Nurses studying nursing. It would destroy, I think, research on various diseases because the incentive's gone, the money's gone. Am I wrong?
No, you're absolutely correct. The thing that drives America is innovation, free enterprise, and competition. That's why we develop some of the greatest drugs in the world. Now, that costs money. We need to have a way to afford that. But at the end of the day, when you take the best and the brightest and they're not inspired to go into your field, then you're going to lose that entire edge that makes America the greatest country and healthcare system in the world. So I couldn't agree more with your statement.
You are the author of the book, Your Healthcare Playbook, Winning the Game of Modern Medicine. The book, basically, give us the theme of the book and what you want people to take away when they close the cover on the last page.
Well, the bottom line is that healthcare is very complex, and it's very unsafe in some ways, but it's also can do amazing things for you. But when you go to approach it, you seem lost in this complex system. This book basically walks you how to get insurance, how to stay safe in the hospital, and do the best for your care. And then finally, when something goes wrong and you get that surprise bill and you don't know what to do, my book will help walk you through all of that. And if you have a patient or a family or anyone that's in the hospital and you haven't read my book, then you need to do so right now so that you can help keep them safe.
Now, where can the book be obtained?
Amazon. Go to Amazon. You can see so far all 5 stars in my reviews, and just today signed a bunch of books, and a lot of people very thankful for the book.
You know, Dr. Dennis Durrell, I really enjoyed the first time you were on the program, and you do a wonderful job every time since. And I appreciate your openness and your candor about what's going on. Thank you very much.
Take care. My pleasure.
All right, sir. Dr. Dennis Durrell, a physician and National Medical Director of Acute Services for IPC Healthcare, knows what he's talking about. I am absolutely bitter at the Republicans, and I wish every one of them could hear me back there right now. Get things done. Stop playing theatrics and politics. Get things done. Oh, don't forget our good friend Nathan Harris of Harris Plumbing NG. I mean, for me to sit here and brag about a plumber, it's a little odd, but I'm telling you what, I know this man, I know this business, and he has absolutely helped Deanna and I on a couple of occasions, and we were absolutely amazed as to his dedication to perfection in getting the job done right and getting the job done efficiently. Harris Plumbing NG. Do I support and give you a testimony? You bet I do. He's the best at what he does. You call them at 431-8633. That number again, 431-8633. Harris Plumbing NG in Burley. Yep, the best. We're going to have our next guest on the phone in just a few minutes, but I want to also remind you about our friends over at Let's Ride. Oh, my goodness sakes, I want you to stop over and see these folks. You know why? Just between you and me, you know it's going to get a little colder. A lot colder. You know we're going to have some angel dandruff on the ground. Oh, yeah. So the snowmobilers are going to be smiling like Cheshire cats. Well, they've got the brand new 2017 snowmobiles coming in every day over at Let's Ride. Oh, yeah. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 9 to 4. And boy, have they got all the snowmobiles and the four-wheelers and the side-by-sides and all the accessories and a super service department, too. Let's Ride. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, where the fun is sold. Also, over in that area, are some dedicated professionals in the insurance business, and I'm talking about Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Number to call, number to remember, 436-4424. The very best of health insurance, life insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits. They really care, and they're dedicated to serving you. All you need to do is take the initiative to call them and make an appointment. Yes, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, the insurance professionals. Let's see where we are right now. I think it's time to say good morning to Dr. David Cole. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Doing good, Zeb. Doing great.
Well, now, David, you're up in, what, here in the Northwest with me, over in Washington. Where do you live?
Well, I live in Duval, Washington. I'm actually in Yakima, Washington right now, doing some meetings.
Okay. Now, you are a doctor of ministry, an American culture enthusiast, and author of What the Church Can Learn from Harley Davidson. Holy smokes, you're involved in a lot. And also, do you have your own church?
I don't. I'm full-time. We've got about 350 churches that we're responsible for, so that keeps me pretty busy.
Oh, my goodness sakes. Well, I'm just going to be really blunt and ask you this question first and foremost. I do not like the people that come out and say, oh, my goodness, the sky is falling on September 30th. We're all going to die because of this, that, and the other, and prophecy is going to be fulfilled. And I look at these people and I say, no man knoweth the hour that God returns. I'm sick and tired of all these people saying the sky is falling. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's really amazing. I agree with you totally. In Matthew 24:36, Jesus said, but nobody knows the day or the hour, not even the angels in heaven, nor himself. Only the Father knows. And so whenever somebody comes up with a date that the world is going to end, you can pretty much bet on it that it's not going to happen. And such is the case with David Meade's prophecy about Planet X, the planet Nibiru, colliding with the Earth, and everything totally vanished at that point. So he predicted that on Saturday, but we're still here, Zeb.
Yes, and you know what? I'm going to make plans for October, November, and December, and I'm going to keep on rolling. But why do you think in troubled times, and yes, we are having troubled times, and yes, there are a lot of people that could look at the Bible and say, you know, earthquakes and natural disasters and threats and rumors of war upon war, yeah, it's happening. But there again, I'm going to go back to my faith and say, while you're looking at tarot cards and everything else, I'm going to believe in the Bible.
Right. I think that is our solid foundation. Totally believe that. And Jesus predicted that in the last days, it would be like in the days of Noah, where there'd be eating, drinking, marrying, and people giving into marriage. Also said that troublesome times are going to come where there would be the wars, rumors of wars, earthquakes, famines. We're seeing that escalate. But one thing he did say is, do not fear, but be of good cheer, because I have overcome the world. So he's definitely in control of our earth, control of what is happening, and really has a great plan, and that plan is good news that we don't have to perish without him. We can be with him, and he gave his son Jesus to pay the ultimate price for us. That's the Christian belief.
Absolutely. You know, the left, and I have not much time or good things to say about the left in this world and right here in this country. Wheels, ride the gain on that feedback. It's getting high again. But when you start talking about the left taking away our value system in this country, and then they took away our God and diminished and despised Christianity, and now with what's going on in the NFL, with the lack of respect for our flag and our Constitution, the left, are they winning, or can we turn this thing around?
I definitely think it can be turned around. I think just like we saw in the elections where everybody was blown away that the Republicans were able to take the Senate, the Congress, also the presidency, it can be turned around. I think it's more than a political situation. I think it has to do with, the majority of Americans still have a love for this country, and they don't like seeing people discredit the flag in any way. And, when that happens even in NFL, there's going to be pushback by the people that live in heartland America that are saying, hey, we sent our sons and daughters to fight for America and for that flag, and that's totally disrespectful.
Doctor, one of the things I've said for a long time, and you being in the line of work that you are with Christianity and working with churches, etc., you might disagree with this, but I think it's high time that Christians en masse stopped turning the other cheek and became much more on the offensive. You agree with me or not?
I agree, Zeb. I think we are living at a critical point in time where if we don't do that, then we're going to see just incredible persecution against the church. And right now we have an opportunity with the present leadership to stand up for our beliefs and say, as Christian believers, whether we're Democrat or Republican, we need to unite under the name of Jesus Christ. And there's a message of good news that we're to be sharing around our globe. And that good news is that, God the Father has sent his Son Jesus to give us life, give us hope. And it is a message of good news, but we need not fall into, destroying one another, which seems to be the case a lot nowadays.
I will say this, Dr. Cole, that I'm very concerned. I'm very worried, and I'm going to stand up and fight verbally and whatever happens after that against the influence that's coming into this country to denigrate Christianity, but give an open-door policy and a pass for Islam coming into our nation. I'm going to be blunt about it. I think this is something that all people should be aware of because it is a religion that's basically an ideology that wants to take over and gain control. Your thoughts? I've got you on the spot. I want your answer.
Well, it is a religion of ideology. Islam is a religion that serves a different God than what I serve. They serve Allah, and my Bible lets me know that there's only one God, and that's Jehovah God, and the Trinity makes up that Godship. So from my vantage point, my viewpoint, that religion is a dead end. And so what are we to do about it as Christians? I think as far as the open door policy allowing immigration, one of the things we have to remember is not only are Islamic religions allowed in, but there is a groundswell of Christian believers that are coming in from the South, from Africa, from South America. And Dr. Castleberry wrote a book on immigration, and he speaks of how you come to America for one or two reasons. You come either to share your faith or you come to receive faith in Jesus Christ. And I would like to see that as, really the principle that we live by, that America is a great land to come and hear that there is hope, and that hope is in God. We trust in God here in America. We don't trust in Allah, but it was Jehovah God that our forefathers said that we trust in.
Absolutely. Dr. Cole, let me ask you this. We hear so much in the liberal press about how Americans are turning away from going to their churches and supporting Christianity, and the young people want nothing to do with it. They say the numbers are they're showing that they're running away from organized religion. What are your thoughts? I know a lot of good young people that are just the opposite. They're raising their kids in the church, and they're very proud to be called Christians. What are your thoughts?
there's a lot of young people, we call them millennials, that are definitely spiritual seekers. They're out there seeking. They want the best for their children, for their families. And so there is a great move right now of young people going to church. However, they're not wanting to go to their parents' churches. For many of them, they see the parents' church as out of date. Statistics show that 65% of all churches in America are either plateaued and dying. Those young people aren't going to those churches. They're going to the 35% that are alive, that have children's ministries, where there's, a great time to fellowship, to worship God. And those are the churches that seem to really be taking off right now.
What do these other churches do to kind of refire and rekindle the spirit of keeping families involved in that particular church? I mean, do church leaders understand they're losing the numbers? Are they looking at how they're conducting the services? Are they looking at what the pastors are saying from the pulpit? I mean, what's the problem here?
I think the problem is a lot of pastors are ignoring the real realities of what's going on, and that's why I'm spending, so much energy. I wrote my dissertation on that whole subject of turning inward-focused organizations into outward-focused. And once an organization, a church, becomes inward-focused, then we lose the ability to reach out to people outside the four walls. And it really has to do with culture. Pastors need to begin to change the culture of their church where they become outward focused again and they open their arms and build relationships with the unchurched. Statistics show that 65% of unchurched people do not have one Christian friend. And that's disheartening. I think the church needs to go out and start making some friends with unchurched people, and we can start right in our own neighborhood.
Let me ask you this question, and I'm not quite sure how to phrase it because I'm always criticized because the audience sometimes thinks I'm being too highly critical of pastors and church leaders in general. But I think in this day and age, we have to be more aware of what's happening in our communities and also our politics. And I think that many churches and their leadership have shunned or run away from the fact that they really are community leaders and they need to get people aware of what's going on. Right or wrong?
Yeah, it's time for pastors to really talk about the right or wrong issues that are in the scriptures. I don't even know that we need to preach politics from the pulpit, but we do need to challenge Christian people to get involved in politics. There's a lot of great people, great leaders that can get involved in politics and make a difference, not only nationally, but in their own communities.
All right, we have a caller with a question for you, Dr. Cole. Dr. Cole, pardon me. Thank you. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, I want to see if both of you agree with what I say. The old adage of cooking a frog, you'll put it on the stove in a lukewarm water and keep turning the heat up until the frog is destroyed. This is likened to religion nowadays. You miss a Sunday here and a Sunday there, and then pretty soon it's two in a row, and I think that's what's happening to America. They're just drifting away, not quitting, just drifting away.
All right, I'll have him respond to that on the air. Dr. Cole, please.
Well, I think the caller is absolutely right. We call it mission fog or mission drift, where the church gradually gets away from mission. And it doesn't take much to get away from mission, where we become narcissistic and inward focused. And that's really the I've got a new book coming out in a month called Refocus that challenges church leaders to get back on mission and not allow for this subtle change. There's a book that was written called Frog in the Kettle years ago, and I think that's what our caller is referring to, that this gradual change, and you don't even know it, and before long the frog is cooked to death in a pot of boiling water because the change happens so slowly.
You know, I ask you to please send me a copy of that new book when it's out, Refocus, and then I'll read it and have you back and we'll discuss it in its entirety. But I also want to mention and revert back to the book, What the Church Can Learn from Harley Davidson. When you say that title, it kind of makes a person look a little quizzical as to what you mean, what the church can learn from one of the largest motorcycle companies in the world. What were your main thoughts about using that headline and title for that book?
Right. Well, I'm a Harley enthusiast, and being out on the road, I found that some of the characteristics of Harley-Davidson that's made them great is, number one, they accept individuals. They don't put people in groupings. They don't become judgmental. They accept people as individuals when they come in the door. Secondly, they are all about doing life together. And so staff that are a part of Harley dealerships are encouraged to own a motorcycle, and not only that, but to ride with their customers through the hog chapters. And I thought, what a great illustration of us as Christians. We're not to be isolated. We're not to be held up in our little four walls of our churches. But let's go out. Let's do life together. Let's show what a real Christian is all about, someone who is dedicated to Christ. And maybe we can change a lot of things that are going on, and we can share a lot of good news to people who are living without hope.
Wow, that was very well stated, and I'm very happy to have this man on our program on occasion, Dr. David Cole, and thank you. In his book, What the Church Can Learn from Harley-Davidson. Dr. Cole, please don't hesitate when I call in the future. Come back on the show with your new book called Refocus. I'll look forward to it.
Thank you, Zeb. Delight to be with you today. Have a great day.
All right, sir. You too. Thank you very much. I enjoy that man coming on my program, and I'll have him back in the future, Dr. David Cole. Right now, it is time for the weather forecast, and then I'd like to welcome your phone calls coming in here. The weather forecast brought to you by Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, CPAs. Providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. With the very best of tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, bookkeeping services, retirement planning, all of this for you, your family, and your business. And they've got offices in Burley and Rupert. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Right now, here's the weather.
Going to be an absolutely beautiful fall week. This is Scotty Cameron sitting in for Gina Jameson for your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. Yes, the sun's going to come out today, expecting a high of 64, mostly clear tonight with a low of 38. Sun again tomorrow, highs reaching maybe around 70 for tomorrow night, clear and a low of 40. Now for Thursday, sunshine and 72, mostly clear for Thursday night, a low of 43. Sunny and 74 for Friday, maybe a chance of some showers coming in on Saturday. That's your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. I'm Scotty Cameron.
And thank you, Scotty, filling in for Gina today. Thank you very much. Brought to you by Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And they can really help folks that are starting a business or selling or exchanging business assets, and they can answer your questions and help you. As a family and a business, Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Serving you in Burley and Rupert, you get a hold of them today. I would, you know what, Wheels, I would appreciate it if you'd ask Gina if she has any updates on some of those accidents that we reported. It seems like this morning is absolutely chock full of problems driving through the Magic Valley with accidents on Interstate 84 and on Eastland and North Overland and Burley and all kinds of problems. Maybe she can give us an update of some of those problems. So if she's there, there, just have her jump on the microphone. I'd appreciate it. While I am waiting to see if the lovely Gina's going to give us an update, I will also tell you about Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center, 924 Christian Way in Rupert. Pardon me for choking up a little bit of a sore throat this morning. And they invite you to come by and take a tour of their facility anytime. Anytime. They make every effort to make Autumn Haven the best place. It's the only locally owned and operated assisted living facility in the Mini-Cash area, and they're very proud and very helpful with one-on-one care to their residents, and maybe you have a loved one that needs that extra one-on-one care. Get a hold of them today. Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center, 924 Christian Way in Rupert, 436-3200. They're small compared to some, but with a bigger heart than most. Is Gina there?
I am.
The voice rings true.
La, 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 la.
Superwoman. Okay. Okay, hey, what in the world, really, I don't think as long as I've lived here, I have ever had a road report or a traffic accident report with this many things happening around this many different areas.
I know, and it's just been kind of ongoing. However, it appears that everything is calming down and things are being cleared out and traffic is starting to move again.
Okay. So
I haven't heard about the Eastland Drive, Falls Avenue accident in Twin Falls. I have not heard whether the roadway has been cleared there. I'm going to run under the assumption that it has been, but I don't know because I have not had any official call to contact me and to let me know. But however, this is the 6 semis and 2 camp trailers that are in the westbound lanes on I-84 traveling eastbound near milepost 194. Well, they're still there, but they're trying to get everybody rerouted. However, that is open and it is flowing smoothly, a little bit on the slow side.
Mm-hmm.
I-84 westbound at exit 201 Casota Road, that semi that tipped over, apparently that tipped over last night. The exit is open, but it's slow rolling.
So I would imagine.
There.
Yeah.
At milepost 205, I-84 westbound, that car that was in the field, EMS crews were there on the scene. That has pretty much been cleared up. And the rollover accident on North Overland Avenue in Burley near Mr. Gas, Mr. Wash, that has been cleared, and the road is open there as well.
Now, that one there, I mean, I certainly hope nobody is injured, but, you got to look at that and say to yourself, wait a minute. On North Overland by Mr. Gas, a car rolled over?
It was a 2-vehicle accident. This is all that I know. This is all that I know. It was a 2-vehicle accident, and apparently they hit pretty hard, and there was a smaller vehicle and the larger vehicle, and it was the larger vehicle that rolled. That's all I know.
Oh, my goodness sakes. I'm telling you, this is a road report. I'm going to save this because never in my broadcasting career here in southern Idaho have we had 5 different major mayhems going on the roads.
I know. So everybody just slow it down. Of course, for the latest road conditions around the state, you can always get on to 511.idaho.gov. Also, one more note for traffic. Exit 216 off I-84 is closed. It is going to be closed for a while due to bridge repair. So if you need to be getting over to Declo, take exit 211, go through Rupert, and go that way.
And there may be truth to the old adage, yeah, partner, you can't get there from here.
Nope. Sometimes it just ain't going to happen.
Hey, I got to ask you real quick, because nobody knows cars as much as you do. I mean, I have a lot of respect for you. I couldn't care less. As long as I turn the key away from me and the engine starts up, that's all I want to know. If you can't saddle it or rope it, what good is it?
Right.
Anyway, these little bitty cars, no bigger than your thumbnail, I wouldn't go on the highway with those little pieces of tin for anything.
Are you talking about the little, electric vehicles like the Prius and there's one in Twin Falls, what is it, the Walk and Grill little to-go vehicle?
Yeah, I mean,
tiny, super little thing.
How would you want to put your life and your wife's life in danger being in that thing?
No, I prefer vehicles that are made out of steel, out of actual metal. So if something's going to hit me or if I'm going to hit something, it's going to damage everything else except for myself.
I mean, I really welcome the fact that they're trying to save perhaps on gasoline or whatever, but you don't get in those cars, you put them on.
Exactly, and that kind of freaks me out. I like to be able to work on a vehicle. And nowadays, due to the advent of technology and computer systems, which is supposed to make things easier, but really it doesn't, I like to work on my own vehicle.
Yeah, but the thing is with those cars, Gina, as petite and nice as you are, you could literally pick it up and take it to work with you and work on a break.
I could, honestly. But would I actually own one? I don't know. You know me. I like my big boats.
Well, I'll tell you what, you're a mechanic. You are really, somebody ought to write a story about you because you come to town and go to work at the radio station with your sleeves rolled up and you don't care if there's a little grease on from the night before.
As a matter of fact, I still have some grease underneath my fingernails if you really want to know.
God bless you. And by the way, thank you for the update.
Oh, you are very welcome.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
So in other words, be careful out there. I mean, holy smokes, I have been in this business in this area for years and years, and I have never seen so many different injuries and, not injuries, accidents, automobile accidents, 5 different ones that we were talking about, 5 different locations. So please be careful out there. I had a circumstance the other day. I'm in Twin Falls, and I have my horse trailer hooked on. I am in the right-hand lane, and someone on the left-hand lane went by me and went all the way over in front of me to make a turn to the right, and they just almost hit 2 cars. I mean, what's the matter with some of these people? Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning again. You know, I want Gina to know how much we appreciate what she does there at the station, and to give us that road report was just super.
All right, well, I know she's listening.
The thing I wanted to talk to you about is your boot deal for Texas.
Yes.
Is it limited just to boots?
No. You haven't been listening. It's also to any kind of footwear from male and female, and a lot of horse tack, whether it's blankets or whether it's bits and bridles, etc. We absolutely are asking for any and all, if it's in good shape and not just rejects or worthless material.
Well, years ago I bought a pair of wingtip shoes, and I wore them twice, and I know I'll never wear them again because that's not my style.
All right.
And the other one is patent leather because I had to do a tuxedo situation, and I will never wear them again.
Well, I tell you what,
just brand new.
Just take them over to your closest.
Give them to Randy.
No, you bet. Take them over there to Tires West, or stop over to see Max Twists in Paul or Lane and Rupert, and I'm going to be making collections today. And so get that taken care of, please. Keith, I got to run to the news. I'm running a little bit behind here this morning. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Tomorrow morning, we're going to have the Denny's football trivia question where you can win and possibly build your own Grand Slam breakfast at Denny's. Delicious. America's Diner at 611 Overland in Burley. Thomas, Terry, and the whole crew. You be listening tomorrow for the Denny's football trivia contest where you can win a Grand Slam breakfast. Right now, we're going to send it back over to the main studios. Dr. History coming up after the break. And a good morning to you. Hour number 3. My goodness, how time flies when you're having fun. On a Tuesday, September 26th. And in just a very few moments, we're going to have Dr. History. Zeb at the Ranch brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations. Great big fall tire sale going on right now. And, of course, some of our great advertisers, including Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Call them 734-6969. Real quick, on Thursdays, we have a segment called Cache County School Days, and we certainly want to thank our sponsors. They are A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley. Don't forget they got all the scrubs, all the cribs for the children, all the top-rated car seats by Chico, all of this and more at a family store, A Child's World in Burley. And also our thanks go to Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland Avenue, Suite E in Burley for your outpatient surgeries. They can save you money. Life-saving colonoscopies, carpal tunnel hand surgery, and more. 677-8888. Ambulatory Surgery Center, and A Child's World, bringing you School Days in Cassia County on Thursdays at 10:10. And real quick, if you've got little kitty cats or great big roping steers, I'll tell you what, I know some folks that can help you at Ark Animal Hospital to keep your animals healthy. That's right, Ark Animal Hospital is 750 21st Street, near Connection Credit Union in Hayburn. Nice people, knowledgeable people, and they understand all about injuries and health for your animals. Get a hold of them today, Dr. Bill and the crew, at 678-1177. I'll repeat, 678-1177. Ark Animal Hospital, yup, they do have the warm hearts for the cold noses. Right now, a man that comes in every time with a cold nose. Hello, Dr. History. How are you?
I'm good, Zeb. Good morning.
How are you, my dear friend?
Great. It's a beautiful day out there. The sun's shining. The harvest is in full swing. I just passed a field where the corn had been cut, and there were probably 1,000 geese out there nibbling on the corn.
Oh, yeah.
And then the smell of corn silage, hey, it doesn't get any better.
You know, if fall would just transition into spring, I could stand it.
I agree.
I just don't like what's coming later.
Yes.
By the way, compliments. Had a call after last week's program. It was really interesting the way you put that story out. What are we going to talk about this week?
Well, we've talked about cattle drives a few times, and I've kind of got another little twist on that story about the trail, the troubles that come along and what they put up with. And there's a guy we're going to talk about, and some of this is in his own words, and the guy's name is Saul West.
Saul West?
Saul. First name is Saul.
Go west, young Saul West.
Yes, and he did. So the cattle trade, in the 1870s was a big business, bringing fantastic returns to many and bankruptcy to others, just like today, right? There was something about it that was pretty incredible. It ran into millions of dollars, and a business conducted largely on credit. There were no mortgages, no notes. A man's word and a tally of the number of cattle turned over to him was the only bond that existed between buyer and seller.
Holy
now,
smokes.
could you do that today?
No,
I don't know.
I don't think you'd want to take a chance.
So, anyway, there's a lot of men out there that acted either as individuals or they became partnerships, and annually sent literally tens of thousands of longhorns across the Red River bound for the Kansas cow towns. There was guys named Millett and Mayberry that sent 100,000 head to Dodge and Ogallala in 1876. 100,000.
Wow.
I mean, that's a lot of herds.
Oh, that's a lot of trail dust.
That's a lot of cattle.
It's a lot of something else on the trail.
But in speaking of the cattle they had on the trail that year, one old timer said, quote, they were strung out almost from San Antonio to Kansas. So you can imagine. I mean, they were almost like a continuous cattle drive. But anyway, in the beginning, it was cattle from their own ranches that they drove north, but their operation soon got to be too big for that, and they became buyers rather than producers of livestock. That way you don't have the trouble of having them die during the winter, so you just buy from other people. But they were, in effect, the middlemen of the cattle trade. And they bought in Texas, put the road brand on the herd, which they assembled, which might actually be wearing a dozen different ranch brands, and turned them over to their trail bosses. And it was their authority, was absolute rule until the cattle were delivered wherever they were going. Mm-hmm. And by boat and train, the owners would be on hand in Abilene or Dodge when the herds arrived to dispose of them to the highest bidder.
Now, I got to ask you a question here. A lot of people think, the glory of a cattle drive. Now, you said they brought how many at one time?
100,000. That's just one company, one partnership.
That's really hard for me to believe, and I'll tell you why. Because of the logistics of finding enough forage along the trail for 100,000 head.
Yeah. Well, and, they went in different individual herds.
Yeah, but still, look at how you cannot. It's like the Oregon Trail. The Oregon Trail isn't one trail.
Right, it's a mile wide. At least
it had to be because of they had oxen and horses that had to find forage, and they couldn't find it on the trail.
Right, exactly. But But, a man might buy a herd on credit using what little cash he had to cover the expenses of the drive and return to Texas 3 or 4 months later, unable to meet his obligations due to losses that happened in a dozen different ways.
And they shot him.
Not quite.
Okay.
No. Remember the time we're at. He had no thought of defaulting on what he owed. He always made it his first responsibility to honor his debts, and with his credit unimpaired, he was able to do so. So they always, there may have been some, that didn't, but for the most part, they took care of their debts.
And if those that didn't, they were found weighing a tree down.
They could have been. But, the usual arrangement between buyer and seller was a simple one. They agreed on a price per pound. The returns above that figure, less the expenses of the drive, were divided between them. Sometimes there was very little to divide. And I'm going to tell you a story about that. There's the case of this young man named Saul West. Okay, he was the younger brother of a guy named George West, who was an established cattleman. Now, Saul received 1,000 steers on credit and started north with them on February 27th. Okay, keep in mind that date, February. Mm-hmm. Okay, 27th, 1874.
Right.
His troubles began almost as soon as he crossed the Red River, and they continued until he reached Ellsworth on May 6th, so from February to May. When he crossed the Big Red at Red River, and that's kind of on the border between
Oklahoma and Texas.
Yes. Yep. So, but he was actually one of the youngest men ever to boss a herd up the Chisholm Trail. Just a young man.
Yeah.
Well, and quote, he says, it was a trip with some adventure, considerable responsibility, and very little cash. He recalls some years later, long after the fortune had favored him, and he had become one of the foremost figures among Texas cattlemen. Okay, so, and here he says, quote, I was the first man to reach Ellsworth that spring, notwithstanding the trials and tribulations which beset us, and as a mark of their appreciation, the businessmen of the town presented me with a suit of clothes, hat, boots, and in fact a new outfit entirely.
Really?
They bought him all these clothes. Well, I've told you before, Zed, some of those guys didn't change clothes from the time they left until they...
Well, it wasn't the cows they could smell coming.
No. Anyway, he says, I stayed around there for a while, selling a few steers here and there. But anyway, he goes back and talks about it. He says, we crossed Red River without any mishap, having had a splendid drive with clear, open weather all the way, but this was not to last long. Now, remember, we're back in February now.
Yeah.
He says, we pushed on north, and late in the afternoon, okay, now we're April 6th, he says, we reached a place called Rush Creek. He says the range had been burned off by the Indians and was black, being protected by 2 streams. So the grass between these 2 streams was good. So on the other side of each stream was burned, but the center section still had grass, and that's where they ran the cows.
Okay.
So he says we stayed there for 2 days, and in the morning of the 8th took an early start for a camp on a place called Hell Roaring Creek, about 15 miles farther north, which he says I had selected because both grass and water were good. He said the cook with the wagon had preceded us, but we got in sight of camp about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The day had been a hard one, misting and snowing slightly all day with a brisk wind from the north. Just as the head cattle came within about 100 yards of camp at the foot of some hills, the blizzard broke forth with increased fury. The cattle at once turned their heads to the south and began to drift with the wind.
Uh-oh.
I mean, you know what cows do.
Yep.
You know, they're not going to keep going head into wind or hail.
And this was February, you said.
Well, now we're into about April, but still, it's like winter.
Yeah.
So Saul keeps going. He says, I knew we were in for a bad night of it, and there was not a man in the outfit over 20 years old. He says, we held them back, the cattle, as best we could until after dark. Well, in the meantime, the horses ridden by the boys actually froze to death.
Wow.
While they're on their horse.
Wow.
He says, during our progress of about 5 miles, he said, my horse was the last to go down.
Oh, my.
So I've been on horses in the mountains in snow and in wind, but I've never been so bad that, a horse would freeze.
Well, I can't even imagine. I mean, you would think the humans being sitting on the horse, whereas the horse is getting the exercise.
Yeah. So he goes on. He says, I had instructed the boys that when their horses went down, they should go back to camp. When I was forced to leave my horse, there were 2 men with me. He says, we finally got the cattle checked after the wind had subsided a little, and as we had not touched a bite to eat since early morning, we began to cast about for something to break our fast. He said, we each had a box of matches, but our hands were so numb that we could not strike one even if we could have gotten the boxes out of our pockets.
Oh, my goodness. What about their feet? I get cold feet really bad in the wintertime. And I've been a horseback in the winter gathering cows, and boy, my feet, they get cold. They didn't have the luxuries that we have today.
They didn't have Sorel boots.
No.
So... Anyway, he goes on, he says, presently I saw a light in the hills about 2 miles away. We started for it and reached the dugout, for such it proved to be after a weary trudge of an hour or more. So now they're walking.
Okay, in the snow.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
The dugout had 2 rooms, and the men took us in after we told them our hard luck story. They gave us a fine supper and put us to bed in the spare room with plenty of good warm bedding. Okay, the next morning at the peep of day, I roused out the boys. I found a dun pony under a shed on the outside with a bridle and saddle, convenient, and I appropriated it.
Now that's horse stealing.
And told the boys to follow me down in the direction of the herd, provided it was where we had left it. I found the herd intact after one of the coldest nights I ever experienced. Now keep in mind that appropriated horse.
Yeah, stolen.
Okay. Anyway, soon after, and that was from the guys that fed him and put him in a warm bed that night.
Yeah.
So he goes on, he says, soon after I reached the herd, the other boys in sight, and we started the cattle back toward camp, the snow, sleet, and ice being 1.5 feet deep. Hell Roaring Creek and all the other streams in that section were frozen hard. We had traveled a couple of miles down the creek when I discovered a man on foot coming toward us. He proved to be a guy by the name of Al Fields. And he says he was known as my neighbor on the trail, having a herd just behind me. He was overjoyed to see me, as he feared we had all frozen to death the night before. And he says all his horses and work oxen had frozen, and his herd was scattered. So this is the herd right behind these guys. So when we finally reached camp, a guy named Jim Taylor, the man who had entertained us in the dugout the night before, and about 15 of his men were there.
Uh-oh. How did you get my horse?
Yeah. So he says Taylor was not in a very good humor about the plan I had adopted to borrow his horse. I thought that was funny. Anyway, I proved to be a good talker, however, and when I got through, Jim said he guessed $1.50 would be enough for the use of the horse. I told him that the price was cheap enough, but I didn't tell him there was only 10 cents in cash in the whole outfit. I traded him some steers for 3 horses and a mule and included the $1.50. You know,
you got to. I'm figuring this out.
Okay, so anyway,
included the $1.50.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, okay. Anyway,
in the net value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Saul West's troubles did not end there. However, for almost 24 hours, he had no word from the 2 men who were with the outfit's remuda of 65 horses. Going back about 8 miles, he met the 2 men coming toward camp on foot. Now these are the guys that had the remuda, the horses.
Yeah, all of them.
The whole 65 head had frozen to death in a space not much larger than an ordinary house. And the 2 boys had only saved themselves from like fate by building a fire in the blackjack timber and keeping it going all night. He says, we held the herd there for a couple of days with the 3 horses and the mule, and I traded some steers to the Indians for 3 more horses. We then started north and reached Ellsworth on May 20th.
Well, wait a minute. How did they get enough horses to finish the drive?
They borrowed, they got some from some of the Indians.
Oh, okay.
But they only had like 3 horses and a mule now, you know, and what are they pulling the chuck wagon with? I don't know.
I have a lot of questions about this story.
Anyway, so it says of the 78 head of horses with which the outfit had left Texas, not one had survived that terrible blizzard of only 4 or 5 hours. It only was bad for 4 or 5 hours.
You know, and I still question why the men didn't have more problems.
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense to me.
I don't know. Unless they would get off and walk around and stomp their feet, and
still in the wet, their feet would be. Oh my goodness.
Anyway, eventually the cattle were sold. He said, I turned over to him the list of my receipts and expenditures of what cash I brought back with me. Proceeded to figure up the results. I had to check it up very carefully so to be sure he had made no mistake. We had agreed on a price for the cattle when I started with them, and I was to have 1/2 of all they brought over that price. After deducting the expenses incident to the trip, the net profit on the year's work was $1.50.
Wait a minute, stop.
Oh, we're not done.
That's the net profit?
Yeah. And when my brother handed me the 75 cents, that was my half of the share. Anyway, he says, I expected to buy a herd of my own to start a bank with it. 75 cents.
Holy.
That's because he had to split it with his brother.
Yeah.
So, anyway, accounts of horses and cattle freezing to death are numerous. The spring blizzard was most fatal of all. Usually it struck with very little warning, and though it might last only a few hours, it caught the livestock when they were most vulnerable to sudden and extreme cold. A moving trail herd generated a lot of heat, especially if it was being held close. And you'd think that would keep them warm. But being warm, when they ran into a severe storm, they chilled quickly and seemed to lose their natural resistance to the extremes of the weather. And when caught out in the open in a driving hailstorm with 40-mile wind, the only protection a man could find was to yank off his saddle and
then they turn their cell phones off.
Sorry about that, folks.
That's all right.
The bonanza thing.
Modern day wonders.
Yeah. Anyway, so he continues. He says between the red and the overwhelming majority of the difficulties the trail drivers encountered took place after they crossed from Red River Station into Indian Territory, and there were a number of reasons can be listed. First, the weather. In the spring, it was often unfavorable with sleet, hail, even snow and rain, which meant high water at the different crossings. And then there was the Indians, and there were the herds of buffalo and antelope that could not always be avoided. And I don't think people think about this, but a typical incident, there was a guy named Ben Borbrum's experience between the Cimarron and the Salt Fork of the Arkansas in 1871. And here's what he says. We went into the Chisholm Trail about 3 miles below Red River Station, and just as soon as we crossed Red River, all our stock seemed to go wild, especially the horses.
Uh-oh.
Several herds lost heavily at that time by cattle and horses getting into the buffalo drifts. Or herds, which were at that season drifting northward. So these animals were, it says, in countless numbers. In fact, the whole face of the earth seemed to be literally covered with them, all going in the same direction. Now, can you imagine? You got this herd of 1,500, 2,000 cows in a herd of maybe, 10,000 buffalo.
That's a mess.
Yeah.
That's not a herd, that's a mess.
That's a mess. So anyway, it says the drovers were compelled to send men on ahead to keep them from stampeding the herds.
Wow.
Now, on a plain about halfway between the Red Fork and the Salt Fork, we had to stop our herds until the buffalo passed. Buffalo, horses, elk, deer, antelope, wolves, and some cattle were all mixed together.
Yeah, go ahead and make the cut.
Yeah, cut out those elk and those deer and those wolves.
I never thought about that, though.
Yeah, it's a mess.
And you would think that the buffalo would have turned tail and got out of there.
Yeah. But anyway, it says it took several hours for them to pass with our assistance so we could proceed on our journey.
Wow.
But the other thing, and we've talked about this before, the Indians wanted tribute in beef because you were passing over their land.
Wanted tribute. In other words, they wanted a ransom.
Toll.
Yeah.
Yes. So, if their demands for a beef were not met, they would begin dogging a herd. That is, kind of scattering them, and they would take a few until they were paid off.
Yeah.
But what the Indians most wanted were the horses, and when they would go after a trail outfit, they sized up its strength, and though they would apparently be satisfied with the gift of a steer or two, they were likely to return that night if they felt they were strong enough in numbers and try to stampede the remuda, which wouldn't be that hard to do, I don't think, because it's night, they can sneak in, start yelling, all the horses take off, and they're going to get a few. So Anyway, there's a guy named William Baxter Slaughter. I know we're about out of time, but he talks about going into with the Indians, and I know let's see.
You know, when they planned these trail drives, though, really, how did they plan for the unknown?
You couldn't.
No.
You know. But he goes on to say that Indians along the trail continued to be a nuisance, begging for beef, but they had lost. They didn't try to stampede the herds like they used to. So I guess they kind of came to an agreement, But a question often asked, which no one can answer accurately, concerns the number of men actively engaged in trail driving between 1867 and 1885. And so they figured the average trail crew usually numbered between 10 and 12 men. Now, that's not very many.
It's not very many people. That includes the cook.
Right. It would be safe to say that 3,500 men went up just in 1 year with 10 or 12. So that's a lot of herds. And in the peak years, the number might have been as high as 5,000 men herding cows. And like I said, sometimes the herd behind would catch up with the herd in front, or it could be a total mess trying to separate not only the buffalo but even your own herd from the herd.
And the elk and the deer and the wolves and the coyotes and everything else.
Yeah, and the frozen horses laying out there on the.
I can't even envision being. I don't like to be a horseback when it's cold anyway.
No.
But oh my goodness, that must have been pure heck.
Well, I remember going elk hunting and in the snow up to the horse's belly.
Yeah.
And sometimes we would get off and hold on to the horse's tail going up the trail. And the horse would pull us up the trail.
Yeah, well, fording a river the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but we never forded anything that big.
Oh, yeah.
They were just little streams.
You know, Doctor, you did it again. Very interesting. And we don't, sometimes when we see the old TV reruns of Rawhide, we don't envision all the pitfalls that were out there.
Yeah, they always pretty much show, nice and warm.
Yeah, head them up, move them out.
Yeah.
Gil Favor, Roddy Yates.
Oh, love that guy.
Your phone's still beeping.
Sorry about that. Somebody wants me.
I can't
Probably
imagine.
The police.
Anyway, I want to be right back with you. I got to visit with you before you leave. Don't forget Scott Jackson Trucking at 311 Rose Street in Jerome. And believe me, they are the industry leaders and experts. And they're looking for good, qualified people to join the Scott Jackson Trucking family. If you'd like to join the team of professionals with very competitive wages and benefits, I'll tell you what, give this number a call. 324-3004, 324-3004, and see if you can't join with an opportunity to join the Scott Jackson Trucking family. And they're fully licensed and insured to haul all over the Northwest and Canada, of course, with the very best of trucks, flatbed hauling, truck repair, excavation, loader accessory fabrication. It is quite a family. It is a great business. Scott Jackson Trucking in Jerome. Also, real quick, want to remind you about our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox with the home comfort systems. Don't forget, you might be able to get up to a $1,600 rebate on a new home Lennox system. All you have to do is call Ramsey Heating and Electric today at 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, saving you money. I'll be back right after this.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Thank you very much, and welcome back to our last segment on the program this morning. And we'll get to our guests momentarily, but I want to remind you, too, about our friends at Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center. And they urge you to stop by and take a tour of their business and their facility. Maybe you have a loved one in your family that needs that little bit of extra one-on-one care. This may be just the right place. Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center at 924 Christian Way in Rupert. The number to call them at 436-3200. And they're the only assisted living facility located in Rupert. And like I said, they make every effort to make Autumn Haven the best place, and they invite you to come and take a tour. Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center, they're small compared to some, but with a bigger heart than most. Call them today at 436-3200. Right now, we're going to get on the phone with an attorney for the Pacific Legal Foundation by the name of Oliver Dunford, and he's going to tell me that I better be careful what kind of clothes I wear to the polls because I might be illegal. What? What's going on here, Oliver? Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having us on. We filed a petition with the Supreme Court asking them to take a look at a law in Minnesota which bans political material or clothes inside the voting booth. And the problem is they don't define it, and they allow election judges to decide what is and what is not political.
Okay.
So things like a Tea Party logo or an AFL-CIO logo or the NAACP, anything like that, could be banned under this statute.
Now, wait a minute, banned. This gets a little dicey for me here, Oliver, because my clothing is my clothing. And Wheels, we got a little feedback on this. Watch the game, please. My clothing is my clothing, and it may be my own expression of my First Amendment rights. So how do you distinguish between my rights, the amendment, what it says, and also climbing into the voting booth? Who has the right to say I can't wear what I want?
Well, that's exactly right. You've got the issue. The state does have the ability to control somewhat what goes on in the voting booth. You can't have people using a bullhorn in there or carrying large signs or running up to people, handing them leaflets as they're about to vote. But here, all we're talking about is clothing with some words or some logos on them. What we've called in the brief passive speech as opposed to active campaigning inside the voting booth. You know, when you walk into a voting booth, people will be outside the buildings handing you things. We're not talking about anything like that. This is simply wearing a cap or a T-shirt with a logo on it.
Okay, so let's give some examples. If I went to a voting booth and let's say I had a picture of John Wayne, a cowboy hero, on my T-shirt and also the logo of the NRA, would I get bounced?
You certainly could be. And the argument, again, that the state makes is that they have to watch out for the integrity of the voting process. But again, we think that goes simply to whether or not you are causing a disruption. And there's a U.S. Supreme Court case called Burson, which said that you can place limits on speech inside the voting booth. But in that case, all of the speech that the state regulated had to do with active campaigning. So vote for my guy, don't vote for your guy. Here, all we're doing, or all of our clients were doing, we're wearing some T-shirts with a Tea Party logo, a picture of the Gadsden flag, and some words like, don't tread on me.
You know, I find this to be a little ambiguous because of the fact that, and ridiculous also, is the fact that when you're in that voting booth, hopefully there's nobody else in that voting booth with you. So really, what's the gripe?
Exactly. The gripe is that it could cause disruption. But we believe that simply wearing a T-shirt that has nothing to do with what's on the ballot, that's another important point here, that the logos that our clients were wearing had nothing to do with what's on the ballot. So, for example, if someone wore a T-shirt that said, vote yes on issue 2, that's a closer call.
Mm-hmm.
And even that, I would argue, would still not be bothering anybody. But we don't even have that here. We just have someone wearing a Tea Party T-shirt. And one of the arguments that the state makes is that the Tea Party is obviously a political organization. And so it just shows you how wide they will apply that definition of political. And again, it could apply to the NAACP, the Sierra Club, any number of groups that the left would certainly support.
Okay, let me throw a scenario at you that I'm sure as an attorney for the Pacific Legal Foundation you've already thought of. But what about the fact of advertisements on the radio and or the newspaper or TV the day of the voting for the candidates? Isn't that basically taking the information to the polls and being in the voting poll ballot box?
Well, I mean, arguably, people wouldn't have the radios on inside the voting booth. You know, a lot of the cases involved in the speech restrictions related to voting have to do with either inside the building or just outside.
Right.
Some states have restrictions on, say, you can't be closer than 100 feet to the entrance of the voting booths to pass out information. And so in those situations, the advertisements on the radio probably don't raise the same concerns because they won't take place inside the voting booth. But again, here all we're talking about is a few logos and some traditional American speech like "Don't tread on me."
Yeah. What I'm really afraid of, especially with the animosity that's going on against this president and this administration, and the left clamoring for every advantage that they can try to get, what about somebody that goes to the polls mid-year elections next year, 2018, something that says something simply like Trump's logo, "Make America Great Again"? Are they going to get yelled at, chastised, and turned away?
Under this statute and under the way that the Minnesota has applied it, it's certainly possible. One of our clients, Andy Seelick, was actually prevented from voting for a time until he was told by an election judge that he couldn't vote unless he took his Tea Party T-shirt off. And the instructions, though, were that you were allowed to vote, but that your name would be taken down for potential prosecution. So in the situation you raised, if you had a Trump T-shirt on under this statute, certainly they could say that's a political T-shirt. You can vote, but we're going to take your name down. You might be prosecuted under this statute.
Wait a minute, right there with your expertise, elaborate on that a little bit. Potential prosecution. What the heck for?
Again, it's to maintain the dignity of the voting place and prevent distraction. But I guess everyone's just going to have to show up in all gray clothing with no logos or words whatsoever.
You know, now, what is the Pacific...
We've made the snowflake generation apply to everybody. Nobody can take any words that they disagree with, see any words they can disagree with.
Well, yeah, that's my point. I was just going to get to that. Everybody and everything can be offensive to somebody about something any time of the day, 24/7. Where do you draw the line? And I'm so glad that your legal firm is taking this on, because I just absolutely don't want to be subjected to a society where we're told to wear brown T-shirts and brown slacks and make sure your shoes are tied, and then and only then can you go vote.
Right, and the interesting contradiction here is that the First Amendment is supposed to apply especially to political speech. The whole idea was to protect individuals and their right to complain about the government or to campaign against the current party in power and things like that. And so while we certainly understand the need to keep the voting booth itself quiet and allow people to vote, the First Amendment applies especially to political speech. So if you want to wear a T-shirt or a cap that has a political message, it seems like the First Amendment certainly protects that.
What about Minnesota? I mean, why Minnesota? You wouldn't think that in the heartland of America. I used to go to school at the University of Minnesota. My, how things have changed. But why Minnesota? Why not, you would think, more in a liberal zone like L.A., Chicago, New York, etc.? Why Minnesota?
Well, actually, Minnesota is not alone. There are a number of states that have laws, I think the number's 9, that have laws very similar to this. They ban political, again, they just say that word, political messages in the voting booth. And Minnesota, in its briefing, admitted that there are laws like this across the country. So what happened in Minnesota just happened to be that an election judge told our client that he couldn't vote for a time. I think it was something like 5 hours that he was delayed. So this actually is a nationwide issue of overprotection of the voting booth in terms of protecting people simply from seeing the words Tea Party or the words MoveOn.org on a T-shirt or a cap.
You know what? I think this should be pushed and challenged, and I can't imagine the hubbub and the furor that would take place if someone would go in wearing a T-shirt, let's say, the NAACP. Are they going to tell that person he can't vote too?
Yeah, no question. One of the arguments we raise is that this lack of a definition of political gives too much discretion to election judges and people on the ground, and they can make those decisions. They could say, you have a Tea Party T-shirt on, you can't come in. You have an NAACP T-shirt, you can come in. And that just points out the problem, that the rule should be, of course, the equal application of the laws, and this one encourages an unequal application.
When did all this really start? I mean, when can you say that this being more observant of people's clothing, when and why and who started this?
That is a good question. I don't know. I think some of this just goes back to the notion of protecting the voting booth, and they may have just been careless when they were drafting the statutes. There are other parts of the law that we do not object to, and so I think probably this was just an example of careless drafting, and now they're finding out that it applies too much. One of our arguments, the main argument, is that it is an overbroad restriction on speech, which means that there are some legitimate restrictions here, but that it also restricts speech that should be protected and that should not be shut down.
Let me ask you this, though, Oliver. I'm still a little vague. Who at the polling place is going to make the decision and cause the problem of telling voter A that he can't vote, but voter B can?
Usually it's going to be an election judge, someone who is either appointed by the local county or maybe the state, Secretary of State, to oversee elections. In this case, there was a memo put out by the Secretary of State directed to the local county election officials, and they explained what materials to look out for under the political name. And they expressly mentioned the Tea Party group and MoveOn.org as groups with recognizable political views. And so while they were given some instruction, the election judges on the ground still had lots of discretion in terms of who they would allow and who they would not allow in. Or I should say that they were supposed to allow everyone in, but they would take down names for future prosecution, and it gave them some discretion on whose names to record.
You know, really, that future prosecution, you know, I hate to say this to you, but I would welcome having somebody say, you can't vote, Mr. Bell, because of this shirt or your cap or whatever, because I would love, honestly, to push the envelope on these people for future prosecution. What are you going to do, 10 to 15 years for a T-shirt that says I support the NRA? That's absolutely ludicrous.
Well, it's not that high. I think it was a minor misdemeanor, but the point stands that you should not be prosecuted for expressing political views in a way that doesn't interrupt anyone, doesn't cause any problems inside the voting booth. You're just wearing a T-shirt, and that kind of activity, whether it's in the park or inside the voting booth, should be protected under the First Amendment.
I hope you win, Oliver. Do you have all your ducks in a row?
I'm sorry?
I said, I hope you win. Do you have all of your ducks in a row so that we can defeat this idiocy?
Yeah, we're ready to go. We filed our petition with the Supreme Court. The other side has responded, and we filed a reply brief. The case will be the Supreme Court will decide. It looks like it's October 6th, whether or not to hear the case, and so we should find out the second week of October whether or not the Supreme Court will review the case. They don't have to, but we think we've made a compelling argument why they should accept this case and strike down this Minnesota law and laws like it all over the country.
Holy smokes. Be careful of what you wear. My goodness, you might be arrested. Oliver Dunford, attorney with the Pacific Legal Foundation. Hey, tell everybody in my audience how they can follow this case and more with Pacific Legal.
Sure. You can go to the website, pacificlegal.org. We just launched a new website. It's much easier to follow than our old one. You can just do a search for Minnesota voters. Once you get to the webpage, we have lots of blog posts up, and you can download the things we have filed with the Supreme Court. So check out pacificlegal.org.
Oh, my goodness. God bless you, man. Thank you. Good luck. And now I'm going to be really cognizant of what I wear every day. I'm going to be afraid I might offend somebody and be arrested, for Pete's sakes. Oliver, God bless you, man. Come back soon.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right, appreciate it. Pacific Legal Foundation, Oliver Dunford. You imagine that? I mean, possible political prosecution in the future, potential prosecution for wearing a T-shirt or a baseball cap or anything. Come on. Anyway, appreciate them being on the program this morning. Holy smokes, it's time for the weather. I got to get that on, and then we'll welcome some more of your phone calls. And, of course, Scarro's Meats brings you the weather this hour at 331 North Road, Jerome. Hello, Don Scarro. And the number to call, 324-7657. Or you can go to their website and really find out all about the delicious meats in their retail meat department, scarrosmeats.com. From all the bratwurst to whatever. I always say the brats. I love bratwurst. I've even got Deanne liking bratwurst now. Holy smokes. And you're just going to find what you're looking for as far as delicious meats from Scarro's Meats. Right now, here's Scotty with the weather.
Going to be an absolutely beautiful fall week. This is Scotty Cameron sitting in for Gina Jameson for your 7th the Ranch weather forecast. Yes, the sun's going to come out today, expecting a high of 64, mostly clear tonight with a low of 38. Sun again tomorrow, highs reaching maybe around 70, then for tomorrow night, clear and a low of 40. Now for Thursday, sunshine and 72, mostly clear for Thursday night, a low of 43. Sunny and 74 for Friday, maybe a chance of some showers coming in on Saturday. That's your 7th the Ranch weather forecast. I'm Scotty Cameron.
Thank you very much, Scotty. Appreciate that. The great forecast for the next couple of days. Scarro's Meats over in Jerome. Don Scarro and his whole crew at 331 North Road, Jerome, bring you the weather, and they are changing the way we eat one delicious bite at a time. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Thank you.
In other words, when we go to the Billy Senate, we're going to have to wear a tuxedo. We can't wear our cowboy boots and our hat. We're going to have to wear a tuxedo.
No. Only when you go to the voting booth. Robert, what's the matter with you? You're making a great big... Huh?
Oh. Well, if they're going to tell us what to wear there, it'll soon get to the sale ring. So have a good day, Zebedee.
Okay, Bob, thank you. You know, I don't like anybody telling me what I'm going to wear. My basic wardrobe is every day, and I don't make any bones about it, nor any apologies. A pair of Wranglers, pair of cowboy boots, either a white shirt or a plaid shirt, my hat, take it or leave it, that's where I'm at. And under the certain circumstances that prevail, I will wear a sports jacket and a tie, or on very important circumstances, a suit. But nobody's going to preach to me about what I can or can't wear. And as much as I've traveled around the world and gone to different events, I've got T-shirts, I don't even know the number. Deanne can tell you we've got boxes and boxes upstairs in the attic from different events, representing different functions, etc. And I just put them on. I don't even pay attention to what's on there sometimes in the summertime. But for somebody to tell me, oh no, that's politically offensive and you might be arrested for wearing that, give me a break. Caller, good morning, you're on the air.
Hi there, Zeb.
Hi there, Chris.
I've worked in the elections for, so long I can't even remember. I finally retired, though. But when somebody walks into the polling booth, if they are wearing any stickers that is, or wearing anything that is promoting a particular candidate, we have to refuse to let them vote until they change, because that's like, still campaigning, for a candidate.
Okay, but I'll go back to the...
People have made up their mind before they come in to vote, and they will do it in the polling booth.
Oh, okay.
Nothing can be displayed encouraging somebody to vote for, or a candidate or a issue closer than a half a mile from the voting.
Yeah, but I think, wait a minute, though, Chris, don't you think, though, that the discernment of what you can and can't wear, like in the case of this...
If you're wearing a button or something on your clothing that says, vote for somebody, they ask that you take it off.
Okay,
whatever. No, that's because that's supposed to have been done outside of the walls of the voting booth.
Okay, but wait a minute, Chris. Wait, Chris.
To vote one way or another from the minute they come through that door.
Okay, but wait a minute, Chris. Hear me. I'm short on time. Andy Selick back in Minnesota went to the polls to vote wearing an old T-shirt that said "Don't tread on me," and he was thrown out.
Okay, well that was probably going beyond the limits, because "Don't tread on me" doesn't say vote for a person or anything.
And that
was kind of unfair.
This is the reason for the court case.
Huh?
This is the reason that the Pacific Legal Foundation is getting involved in the court case, because "Don't tread on me" was our nation's first flag.
Well, and that, of course, is a symbol that should make everybody be proud, because that's the American way.
Yes.
And it wasn't making a plea for somebody to vote for a candidate.
That's right.
And so that's the rules in the state of Idaho. If you walk in with "I love America" on your chest, everybody applauds, because that's how we feel.
I got to run to the news, but God bless you for your call. Thank you, Chris. Have a wonderful day. Thank you. Don't forget our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Oh, my goodness sakes, all 7 of them. Really serving you with a big fall tire sale going on right now. All your passenger car tires, pickup SUV tires. My goodness, now's the time to be ready for fall and winter driving with this big fall tire sale going on right now, along with the best in brake service and front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, very important right now. You stop in and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and my buddy Randy on Overland in Burley. Nobody does it better. They are always the people that do the right thing because it matters. At your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, you stop in and see them today. And I thank them for their sponsorship of this program. We're going to be back tomorrow morning at 8:06, Zebeth Ranch on a Wednesday tomorrow. Lots of interesting guests. Don't go away, and we'll look forward to talking to you, where we always end the program and say, the way things were are the way things ought to be. See you tomorrow morning.